Testing. JB here. December 4th, 2023. Hope everybody's doing outstanding. Let me just post this link. Just going to be on really quick. A lot of stuff I want to talk about, I already talked about on Friday. And the one that's probably I wouldn't caused me the most angst over the weekend, but has probably taken a lot of my energy and focus has been Trupanion, ticker TRUP. It's one of the stocks I followed maybe it's 6 or 7 years ago. It was one of my top 5 stocks for maybe it was 2016, 2017. It was in the 20s. It's a tough name. So if you're bullish the name, you look at it almost like a tech name. Here's an unmet need for folks in the United States that have a pet. So normally you go to the vet, your pet is sick, or maybe they have diarrhea, whatever you want to call it. You go to the vet, and the vet has to do a litany of tests. They have to do blood tests. Maybe they do X-rays. Might have to keep them overnight, and it's always, without a doubt, it's 500, 600, 750, whatever it is. That's the starting point for the amount your bill is going to be, just for them to find out what is ailing. What's the ailment that your pet has, right? And then not only that, then it's going to be on the back end, drugs, surgery, follow-ups, things like that. So it's it's very expensive. And in this day and age, a lot of folks, and I've said this many times over the last couple of years, they value their pets almost as much, or they're not going to say it, but probably more than some of their family members. So they probably don't know of a solution where you can get insurance. And a lot of people think of it and say, well, I don't want to pay month to month to make sure that they're going to take money. Maybe my pet's going to be good for the next couple of years. But once you get that visit that costs you $1,000 or $1,500 or even more than that, that bill, then you're probably more apt to sign up for some kind of insurance plan. So here's Trupanion. So it was one of my top 5 stocks many years ago. I thought it was a great opportunity. Here's a company. It's been around since it's 23 years old. So I think it's 1990 that came out. Great story, great CEO. But since I really started to follow it, there's a lot of people who short the name because they look at it as an insurance company, which it is, right? But it's also a tech company. They have a platform that allows vets to get payments right up front. So when you go and bring your dog in or what have you, file the claim gets approved, and Trupanion sends it right to that vet office. So they get the money right away. So there's a lot of technology that's behind the scenes. But people look at it and they think, well, there's a huge capital requirement. So Trupanion, they back all their claims themselves. So they don't just do the claims, they also have to pay them out. So that means they have to have capital on hand. They have to have liquidity if something happens. So there's a lot of concerns that could come up, especially, if the worst case scenario, if there's a serious epidemic that goes around the country that causes a lot of claims, they could cause a serious liquidity issue with Trupanion. The good thing is they're publicly traded company, so they could raise some capital. The bad thing, obviously, that would not bode well for shareholders. But on the flip side, so I'll give you an example. 2013, and I'm trying to find the post. I think I posted on Reddit back in 2013. I used to post on Twitter back in 2013 a lot about Tesla, but now I was bullish Tesla. I'm not here to say wrong, right about this, Musk or whatever. Everybody has their own views, but I just thought they were at the right spot, the right time, and great opportunity. I thought, at the time, Solar City, which Tesla acquired, their brother, Musk's brother was the CEO, whatever. I thought that was a great company. I used to trade that as well. But anytime I posted about Tesla, there would be a huge crowd of these folks that would just attack me. Oh, he's a scumbag. He's this. The company's garbage. Blah, blah, blah. To the point where I didn't post on Twitter anymore around Tesla. And I started posting on Reddit. I'll have to post some tweets from some of my posts from 2013. But it was kind of, they get you to the point where it's not that you don't have any conviction in your bull case anymore, but they kind of wear you down. So I'm not saying the same things happen here with Trupanion, but Friday was a great example. So Trupanion rallies on Friday. I think it was up 14% no news really outside of the mysterious respiratory issue that some dogs are experiencing. I don't know that whole situation. But then after the close, Trupanion posted an S3 filing, which is pretty much an offering. So it was an offering for Aflac. So Aflac back in 2020, in October 2020, Aflac and Trupanion had a partnership. Aflac went and said, "Hey, Trupanion, we're going to acquire $2 million worth of your shares," which at the time, I don't know, it was 1 point something million shares at $55, and we're going to do a partnership. So you're going to help create our pet insurance program. So right now, if you look at Aflac's website, their literature, their business programs, all that is littered with Trupanion. So pretty much they're all in on going after an addressable market that has not been addressed, right? I talked about on Friday, the UK has a 40% plus penetration of pets. So over 40% of the pets in the UK and in England are insured. In the US, it's 2 or 3%, maybe it's a little bit more. So maybe there's some kind of whatever misnomer or misinformation, or maybe people just don't want to do it. But to me, on the flip side, I think there's a huge opportunity. So Aflac did that partnership with them. So here it is 3 years later, and part of the deal was that Aflac could not force a board of director member. They couldn't take one of their people and say, "I'm going to be on the board of directors of Trupanion." Back in July of 2023, Trupanion finally appointed an Aflac board of directors and to the board of directors, and the person from Aflac was their CFO and vice president. So pretty much the second in command on Aflac. I thought that was a big deal. So some of the reasons, I have this bullish stance on Trupanion. So what happens on Friday? They filed that S3 filing, which was pretty much mandated from their agreement 3 years ago when Aflac and Trupanion had this agreement. They said, it says they have a 3-year lockup period. After the 3-year lockup period, Trupanion is required to file an offering, and after that, Aflac can sell if they want. So what happens on December 1st, which was the 3-year lockup period expiration, Trupanion did as they're required by the SEC. They filed that S3 filing. So what happens? All these folks who are bearish Trupanion says, "Oh, Aflac's selling all their shares." It's just mind-boggling. So then you look this morning, and I wake up in the morning, Trupanion's at $26. So what is going on here? What's going on here is people, a lot of folks with big pockets who are short the name. There's a 40% short interest. I hate to use the word manipulating, right? Because if you're selling the stock and it goes down, is that manipulation? I don't know, but that's what they did, and it went all the way down. I think it was 26.40, and then you can see it's rebounding. It's in the green right now. So to me, it's just a great example of how folks can go out and create this narrative of a bear case on a company, and not only that, do it in the open markets and incite this kind of bear raid. So we'll see how this all plays out. Hopefully, you understand. I'm trying to. I have conversations on Twitter with folks, but it reminds me of back in 2013 with Tesla, where people, they don't, there were people on Twitter over the weekend saying Aflac is selling all their shares. Here's the filing, they're selling their shares, they're out. But I'm like, why would the second in command pretty much of Aflac get on the board of directors of Trupanion in the summer only for the company to sell shares? Does not make sense. Not only that, it's at a 47% loss. They acquired the shares at $55. Stock was at 29, what was it, 29.37 or so on Friday. So just doesn't make sense. And not only that, they're a $48 billion company. It would be pretty much a, not a scar on the company, but just would not be a good look for an insurance company who you think knows what they're doing in the insurance world to reach out and partner with a pet insurance company and then all of a sudden say, "Oh, we didn't do our due diligence. We got this wrong. We're going to sell this at a major loss and exit the position. But before we do that, we're going to get on the board of directors in July." It just doesn't make sense. So needless to say, I'm still very bullish Trupanion. I think it heads into the 30s in the coming days, 35, 40. And yeah, just look on Twitter, and like I'm not here to say I'm wrong or right. I know everything, but it just reminds me of that. It's a bear rate. They've created this narrative that they think a company that has grown 20% year a quarter over quarter for the last 64 quarters, 23-year-old company is a scam. It just does not make sense to me. And last, my little rant on TruPanion, they go on Twitter and they say, look at Better Business Bureau or the reviews. But if you look at any insurance company, the people who are going to be posting on these sites are not. They don't go to the Better Business Bureau or to post reviews to say, "Wow, they covered my claim." The only reason you're going to go to those sites is because they didn't cover your claim. So of course it's going to have horrible reviews. You don't see companies say, "Oh, go post on our Better Business Bureau site with a positive review." That doesn't happen. So it's a function of their base. They have over 1 million. Well, I guess this quarter and next quarter they'll have over 1 million pets as members of their insurance plan. So as the amount of members go up, the amount of complaints are going to go up. So when you have 1% of your customer base complains on a claim that might be denied, and you have 1,000 pets, that's minuscule. But when you have 1 million pets subscribed at 1%, that's substantially more. So a lot of it's just a function of the volume they're doing and their growth and scale. So that's TruPanion. So I just wanted to do a rant on that. AVAV, so I'll go on AVAV really quick. They report after the close tomorrow. Lock some more calls in at the open today. Hit all-time highs, 143.99. Similar to some of these divisive names I like to trade, if they don't post a strong quarter, beat and raise, it might muddle here, might fall back. At the same token, maybe it opens to the open. If a strong beat and raise might open the eyes to some folks who don't realize the potential of AVAV. So that's the other side of it. So I'll probably hold the rest of those calls. Not going to add anything. Calls up above that are very expensive. VKTX. So there was an acquisition this morning. A privately traded company. I don't even know the name of it. Roche acquired them. Supposedly they're at the forefront of next stage obesity drugs. I've never heard of them, so maybe they are, but they're a privately held company. So you see VKTX heading higher this morning. To me, it just adds more validity to the bull case on VKTX. You also had Truist Securities. They kept their buy rating, $32 price target. That was late in the morning. I think it's just $15 here. I locked some of my January strikes in. I think it heads to $20 before the year's out. So I'll continue to hold those. Just a great story. Every weekend there's new obesity articles and things like that. And I think just adds to the bull case. Fiverr also rallied. Now it's in red all the way up to $28. Now down here to $26.97. Lock some of my December strikes in. I think that heads up to $30. Another story that I think is gonna do the outperformance at the end of the year. The Santa Claus rally, which folks are starting to talk about. So that's that. It's kind of my rant. I'm trying to think of other things. I have too much stuff on, so I don't want to add too much more risk. Zillow on Friday. Zillow, another one of my top 5 stocks from many years ago. The pre-split, pre-Trulia acquisition. Great story, especially as rates starts to come down. The people, to me, it feels like there's a pent up demand for people looking to move, right? So you might have a family. It's only a family of 2, maybe it's a family of 3. So they have 2, 1 kid, and maybe 1 on the way. So they only have 2 bedrooms. They need to get 3 bedrooms or whatever the case is, and they're waiting for rates to come down. They don't want to do an adjustable rate mortgage or what have you. And now you can kind of see the silver lining that hey, maybe rates going to start to come down back into the 6s and 5s. So if the only thing that's going to do for Zillow is going to increase their traffic. So similar to why I like TripAdvisor, Zillow is the most trafficked real estate site. So who's going to be the biggest benefactor of rates going down? It's going to be Zillow. So take a look. I think the 50-day moving average was was it 200? Let's see. I had it on the watch list this morning. Yeah, 45.83 is the 200-day moving average. So once it gets over that, I think it heads back into the 50s. And Zillow was $54 back in August, and that's with rates, higher than they are now. So I just think, just as a function of the rates going down, is going to increase traffic, and it's a great business model. So that's Zillow. What other names we have? Fiverr. I think that's it. SSYS. So lucky, sometimes when I put trades on, I put a limit in good to cancel on 100% on the position. I did that with SSYS. So when I enter those calls after their earnings, I put it in at 100%. Sure enough, what happens? It fills Friday afternoon for 100%. So I have those January strikes. I'm not going to go on a rant on SSYS, but I think that 3D sector is, especially where SSYS was, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, at the middle of a bidding war to acquire it at much higher prices than where it is now. I think it's just a great opportunity to play it for upside. And AI, I think it reports. Let's see. I think it reports. Does it Wednesday or Thursday? Tough one to trade. Another divisive name. A lot of people who short it, they think it's garbage. Let's see. I need to look it up. It's not even letting me do this. Let's see. All right. Oh, Wednesday after the close. So Bengals. Bengals Jags. Yep. That's sorry, folks. So I look at AI. I think at some point it's going to break out, but I just don't want to chase on either side or be in a position where they beat estimates and the stock still sells off. So I'll probably wait to trade that. Yext, one of my names from last year and the year before, they report earnings tomorrow after the close. Similar name, similar story. I think Yext is, in a position to do well, but they have disappointed. I think it was up to 14 and change back in the summer. Then they had disappointing earnings, sold off all the way down, I think near, $8. So tough one. Anyway, that's all I have, folks. Thanks for listening to my rant on TRUP, and I'll try and get on later. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.